Hello YouTube stackers, this is ST with Silver Stacking 101, where we always believe in staying stacked in packed. Stacked with silver, gold, food, ammo, and packed with the means necessary to defend our stack. May we live in interesting times is not a hopeful statement, it is a curse. Unfortunately, we are living in interesting times. For the purposes of this video, let's look at the events as they are unfolding from a dispassionate third-party perspective, okay? So if one is a Biden supporter, let's don't look at it from the viewpoint of a Biden supporter. Same thing with a Trump supporter. Let's don't look at it from a viewpoint of a Trump supporter. Let's look at it from a viewpoint of a member of society that's going to have to deal with the social and economic ramifications of what's going on. First of all, the absolute worst case scenario coming from this election was not a Biden victory if one is a Trump supporter, or a Trump victory if one is a Biden supporter. The absolute worst case scenario was a victory with enough of a cloud over it that would lead a reasonable person to question the authenticity of the results. How did we have a valid election? There's enough going on that defies statistical odds, okay? There is enough statistical aberrations present that would lead one to seriously question the authenticity of the results given. I will make that statement. That's not saying voter fraud happened, but seriously, it needs to be questioned because of the statistical aberrations. I'm a math guy. What I saw should not happen. It's impossible to happen. We're not going to debate whether there was or was not voter fraud. What we believe is irrelevant as individuals to the overall situation that's coming. Right now it's about 1:20 p.m. Thursday, November 5th. The election at this time has not been called. I fully expect it will be called for Biden in the very short future, probably before the end of the day today. That being said, this creates a huge problem for us being society. Not because Biden won. That's not that big of a problem. The problem is the cloud that is present over the victory. Now let's talk about the possibilities, what could happen from this point going forward, and the potential social and economic fallout from it. Number one, it is a safe bet, no matter who is declared the victor, the other party will take this to court. When we get to court, there's only one or two options. You win or you lose. There's no draw, okay? Let's assume Biden's declared the victor. Trump will take this to court. That goes without saying. If Trump prevails in court, imagine what the members of the left will do in reaction to the verdict. I shudder to think of the ramifications of that. But they certainly will feel justified. I'm not saying they are justified. They will feel justified in taking the actions they take. Now remember, we are a dispassionate, disinterested third party for this exercise. I know we put aside our emotions. That's very hard to do. Humans are very emotional creatures. We all suffer from it, myself included. Let's say Trump Trump loses in court. One or two courses of action can happen. Number one, Trump can take the high ground. It's not right, but I accept the result, and peaceful transfer of power. Guys, that ain't going to happen. There's nothing in President Trump's background that will lead one to believe that he's even capable of assuming such a course of action. The second possibility, and this is one that's scary, is President Trump rallies his supporters, the left responds, and we have tremendous social chaos. That can absolutely happen. Now, us in the middle, how does this affect us? Well, it's going to affect the economy, number one. The economy's already decimated from COVID, the restaurant and retail industry especially. We're going into the Christmas season, the season that retail absolutely depends on. So, what's going to happen? With social chaos, retailers will get a death blow. They depend on the Christmas season, and they're already injured. Same thing with restaurants. Not only that, we have a physical security to contend with. Also, when we are divided internally, we are more prone to external influences. Weak house divided, our national security suffers as a result. How do we prepare ourselves for this eventuality? Well, I've been saying stay stacked and packed for years, and I mean that junk. There's a reason why I do. Society hangs by a slender thread. We forget that because we always assume the way things are is the way things are going to stay is a natural condition for us, myself included, but society is very, very fragile. If you don't believe that, look at the effects from an upper respiratory infection, COVID. Look what it's done to our society. So guys, how do we prepare for this? Make sure you stock up on some extra food when you go to the grocery store, because there may be 2 or 3 weeks you are unable to go to the grocery store. Make sure you have some cash in your home and some alternate forms of money, such as PMs. And if you are legally able to, definitely get packed. We're going to need that junk. And I say that a lot, but stuff like this is why I say it. I'm not advocating for anybody to go out and do any type of violence, any type of destruction. That should be avoided at all costs. We need, as individuals, to rely on ourselves for our personal defense and our personal preparation economically for what's coming down the pike or could come down the pike. I want to talk about one other thing before I let you go. Let's talk about elections and counting votes. I'm an accountant. In my world, believe it or not, 1 + 1 does not always equal 2. The reason I say this is we deal with intangibles such as depreciation. We deal with accrual systems. When do we recognize an expense or recognize revenue? We deal with issues such as where do we capitalize something or do we carry it as an expense? When we're dealing with election results, it's a finite equation. It's A or B. Somebody voted for this person or this person. In a perfect situation, everything should be very transparent, the process. The process should be very well documented, very regimented, because we're dealing with a finite number. It's very easy to administer a system like this. Granted, the aggregate numbers may be huge, but the actual results are a very simple result. Maintaining voter rolls should be a very simple process. Why has this gotten complicated? Why has counting votes gotten complicated? I will tell you why it's gotten complicated. Because of the confusion the complication brings. There's no need for this. It's a finite equation. It should be very simple. Guys, we in the future, as voters, as citizens, should hold people accountable for administering a fair and impartial system with checks and balances in place to detect and eliminate fraudulent activity. It would be very simple to put in place. That's from my heart, because it bothers me to see a simple process perverted to a process that is not delivering the results necessarily that can be relied upon. Guys, let me know what you think. Do you agree or disagree with what I said about the potential problems that could come down the pipe, societal and economic upheaval? Let me know what you think and why you think it. Please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Thank you for watching. God bless you. And remember, stay stat and pat, because we need it now.